up, get ready. It's going to be a very, very intense journey.
Hello and welcome to Frameskip. This is your weekly dose of video game news and discussions. I'd like to thank you for joining us and hope you enjoy the show. If you do, remember to subscribe and give us a nice review. It really helps the show. As always, I am joined by the ladies' man, Elijah Steele.
Hello there.
What's up, buddy?
Nothing too much. Feeling good tonight. How are you?
Pretty good. I know we just talked for an hour, but I'm going to pretend like we just started talking because it makes
I don't know what you're talking about. We've only been here for like 5 minutes.
Yep, 5 minutes. How you been this week?
Good. I've actually been gaming a lot, which, I mean, there's nothing else to do right now. But also I've been watching a lot of anime. And
which anime are you watching?
I started rewatching Initial D, which is one of my all-time favorites.
It's a racing anime, right?
Yes, it's all about downhill drift racing from the 90s. And because of that, I've started listening to 90s Eurobeat music all the time.
That's pretty cool. I don't know what 90s Eurobeat music is, but I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's actually crazy right now because my music tastes are either 90s Eurobeat music or the Hamilton soundtrack.
That's vastly different.
The big two. Yeah,
the big two.
90s Eurobeat makes everything you do that much more amazing. Like if you're listening, say you have a song on while you're brushing your teeth, it's the most BA teeth brushing session you've ever had.
I was in my car coming home from work, I think it was yesterday, and the Tokyo Drift theme came on. Man,
such a good one.
What a pop.
Right?
That song is so good. I wish they threw a little more variety in like the middle of the song, but that I can listen to it for a solid 45 seconds. And that 45 seconds is the best 45 seconds of music I think I can possibly get.
Good old
but then it just repeats
karaoke
itself
boys.
over and over. Yeah. Because really it is just the same like 13 seconds.
Oh yeah.
Repeated over and over and over again. But it's a good 13 seconds that you can handle 4 or 5 times in a row.
I wonder if you know that if in Tokyo.
Yeah. Drift. And then you heard him, the great and powerful George Loftus.
Aw, thank you. Hi, I'm George.
I'm glad you joined us this week again, because otherwise it would have been a one-on-one with me and Elijah.
I like those episodes. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, we can like me and Elijah can handle that.
Oh yeah,
like I think it makes it a little more interesting.
I might just run right now, just so I can get one of those episodes.
George Railroad Martin.
George Railroad Martin.
It's me.
Yeah, that's a deep cut. That is a deep cut. No, 99. I'm pretty actually. I'm almost positive 100% of people aren't going to understand what that means.
You know, it's funny, but like when quarantine started, I actually went back and started listening to like older Beyonds, just out of like.
Oh, so you get it? You understand what that meant?
Yeah,
okay.
I remember I first started listening to Beyond like around Dead Space 2, Killzone 3 era. I was like a junior in college. Good. And I just went back and started listening from there while I was playing like older PS3 games. Like I was trophy hunting in Burnout Paradise. I
really think the Beyond era of Greg, Colin, and Clements, and you can even extend that to like Goldfarb, is like some of the best podcasting that it's ever been recorded.
Completely
like I would put that on the level of like Joe Rogan, like the best Joe Rogan episodes.
I'm about to share a birthday with Joe Rogan.
You do?
Yes.
But like man, those old Beyond episodes with those three are just so good. And like because like you had the foremost PlayStation experts probably in the world all together just killing it on the podcast scene, dude. That's what got me to do like way better in podcasting too, just listening to them. So it's awesome you listen to them.
Yeah, it's been fun going back. Just getting up to the launch of the PlayStation 4. Like I'm doing it just to try to like remember that era. Like as we're going into PlayStation 5, just trying to remember like what the last console launch was like.
Up to the PlayStation 4, that was like that was the return of Goldfarb, right?
I think so, yeah.
Good for him. He's working at Sucker Punch now, I think, right?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I saw his tweet about Ghost of Tsushima. But George, you said you were playing Ghost of Tsushima, right?
Oh my god, I love that game. That is probably
let's jump right into our weekly games. Like, so you've been playing Ghost of Tsushima. Give us your opinion on it.
It is probably my favorite game of the PlayStation 4 era so far. Like my favorite exclusive so far.
Wow.
I know that's like a minority opinion, and like the game absolutely has problems. But man, I really enjoy it. It's just such a serene experience. Like I was just I explored the first island before I did like any of the main missions. Like I cleared all the fog of war just because I wanted to see what this world was. And it's just so relaxing. Like you can just go, like there's little areas all around the map where like you literally go and write haikus, and you just you kneel and you just like look at there's like 3 points of interest that you can like look at with the right stick. And then each thing you look at is corresponds to like a line of the haiku. So there's like 3 rounds, and then you just like recite a haiku, and
That's neat.
It's just so calming. And there's just like the game itself is just gorgeous. And what's really impressive is like how quickly the game loads.
That's what I've heard.
Like when you fast travel, you don't have time to read 2 tips. Like you barely have time to read 1 tip. You know how like it tells you like to beat this type of enemy, you do this. You barely have time to read 1. Like as soon as the game loads up, it is almost instantaneous. And like the world is simultaneously really big and also really small, just because there's not a lot on the map, but everything that is there feels pretty meaningful.
That's important.
Mm-hmm. And it's a lot of typical stuff. And I'm really glad, like last time I was on, I talked about how I was playing like Infamous and Infamous 2 in the lead up for this. And there's so many similarities between those games. It's really impressive how they were able to like dress up older design ideas into something very, very new, I guess. And
has this been Sucker Punch's first game since Infamous Second Son?
Yeah, like I think First Light.
Technically First Light, but
oh yeah, okay. Interesting. So they've been dealing this for a while. So what you said there is definitely drawbacks to it. Can you give us some of them?
I think the camera sucks. Like the camera is really flippin' annoying. Sorry, I'm trying not to swear.
No, that's fine.
And instead I sounded like someone at like Bible camp or something. Sorry. Yeah, the camera is just trash dog. Yeah, sorry. I'm not used to not swearing on a podcast. The camera's bad. We'll leave it at that.
Okay.
And so like you'll be engaging like with, let's say, like 12 enemies or something, which isn't uncommon. Like anytime you go into like a base area, there's usually that many enemies, and you can approach it either silently like a ghost or sort of head on like a samurai. And I like to do it as a samurai just because it's way more badass. Like you show up and you press like the top button, the top of the D-pad, and that triggers a thing called the standoff, and you have to like basically hold the triangle button until the last possible second to unleash like a single strike that kills an enemy in 1 hit.
Oh. Wow.
And so like that will replenish your meter called Resolve, which you can use to either heal yourself or do like special attack moves, whatever. And so that's the way I like to approach it. And like once you get further in the game, you can actually chain it, so you can do that like multiple times in a row. So you can just like instantaneously take out enemies. But it's not uncommon to be in like a big battle with a bunch of people, and the camera itself is super wonky just because it's so close to you. And so despite how many enemies are on screen, the camera never really moves from its position. So there have been times where like I was attacked by someone who was literally 6 inches away from me in the game, but I just couldn't see because of the way the camera was framed.
Oh, okay.
And so like in other games, like if there's a whole bunch of attacks they can do that you can either block or parry or dodge, but there's no indication of that happening off screen. So like the amount of times I got messed up just because I like literally couldn't see an enemy was kind of annoying to begin with.
Yeah, that is frustrating.
And then I just learned like, okay, so like I need to play this game a little bit differently. Like I just need to move more. And so it's kind of like situational awareness where I'm not necessarily engaging with the enemies, like trying to kill them right away. I'm attacking them and then moving just to make sure I know where every enemy is at all times. But God, I love that game, man. It is so good.
My question is, I think I kind of already know the answer, but there's really, now you guys know I'm a martial artist by my lifelong thing. There's really 2 eras of samurai. There's like the honorable samurai, and then there's the late like dishonorable samurai. What kind of era does this take place in? Are the samurais still like on the side of the people, like almost like Batman type defenders, or are they like the imperialist samurai that?
This is pretty much honorable. This game kind of feels like it's at like a crossroad, because basically like the Mongols invaded, like they already won. And so it's like you trying to take stuff back. And so the problem is that like clearly like the samurai way of like honor and like attacking your enemy head on like wasn't working. And so there's no morality system in this game. Like it's not like, you get good karma or bad karma. And so it's really like how honorably you attack enemies. And so like if you start like stealth killing, like it's way easier and frankly cooler. I don't think the stealth is like necessarily great in this game, which is funny coming from like the Sly Cooper guys. Like it feels very PS2, late PS2, early PS3 era in terms of like stealth detection.
Right.
But like that is like sort of the karmic meter is like how you approach things either as a samurai or as a ghost. And the game is called Ghost of Tsushima, so like I'm guessing they kind of want you to lean into one way over the other. But it's just like people in your life will be like, oh, I've never seen a samurai fight like that. Like you fight more like a demon. And so like that, like little jabs like that like NPCs make, like that's sort of like framing the way I play. I'm like, well, I don't want to be perceived that way. But it also like there's no like meter for that. Like there's no measurement. So like I could go and attack 12 people in a group, and like if I stealth kill one of them, like it seems like just that single kill is sort of like all people want to talk about, as opposed to me doing like a standoff and like honorably fighting people, the other 11, like head on. One thing I do really like about the game is like it's all sort of diegetic storytelling. Like I check the map a lot. I'm getting better with the environment, but if you like have a location that you want to go to, you swipe up on the trackpad and like the wind blows in the direction you're supposed to go. Like there's no marker on a map unless you get like super close to it. And so I just love that like as games are all about precision, like the movement in this game feels like pretty generic, not in like a bad way, but I just mean like, yeah, this is the general direction you have to go, as opposed to telling you it's at exactly this spot. Like go at this heading, you know? And so like I really like that, where it feels like a little bit more like stress-free and like casual. Like it's not like demanding that you go to this exact spot. It's like, yeah, and just go northeast-ish, you know, and you'll get there eventually.
That's super cool. I can't wait to get it. I'm going to buy it tomorrow. One thing that you said that's really interesting to me is you said how they charge up as a strike to unleash at the perfect time to kill an enemy in one blow, right?
Yeah.
That's what. Okay, so like that's a real thing that the Japanese focused on called Iai Jutsu, or the samurai focused on Iai Jutsu, and it's actually its own martial art, completely separate from the samurai sword fighting style called Kenjutsu. Now, granted, I don't speak Japanese. I'm not a historian in Japanese, but from what I understand, that's how that worked, which was the actual sword fighting style of, you know, like we got sword to sword. I'm standing up. I'm already in a combat stance. It's called Kenjutsu. And then the actual, I'm waiting for my one strike. The sword is usually drawn, or it's usually sheathed, and then they draw it out like a super quick speed.
Yeah.
And to finish an enemy with one blow, it's called Iai Jutsu. So that's really cool that they implemented that in the game. That's really exciting.
It's kind of necessary sometimes, because like I feel like this game is so cinematic in presentation, and like I really love that. But also, part of me wishes it was just like 5% more video gamey. Like, you know how in like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I think it was, where there was just like a little like outline around the enemy, like a little white hue or whatever, just to show you, just because like people really do blend into the environment. And like I was trying to liberate a Mongol base the other night, and I just like I kept getting pelted by an archer, but like I couldn't see him. And once you get down to the last remaining enemies, you can just like basically press a button to challenge the survivors, and then they'll just rush at you because you just like yell. And then they come and attack you. But like I hadn't killed enough enemies to trigger that, and there was some archer, and there was just so many towers in this one base that like I couldn't see him. And so I just had to like run around in circles and then just like wait to get shot. I'm like, okay, so it's from that direction, but then I still couldn't see him, so I had to do that same thing again, just to like pinpoint where he was. The presentation of the game is great. Like it really does feel like a movie, and each mission you do has like a really nice title card where like it almost feels like you're playing like really short like micro episodes of something. Like I've seen that. It feels like a chapter from like an anime or like a movie or something. But like again, like, you know, a mission will take you 10 minutes, so like it goes by really quickly.
That's awesome.
God, no, I'm enamored with this game. And like granted, I've been really bad about exclusives on the on the PS4. Like I've been really really bad about playing a lot of first party games. I just made a list, and like I'm trying to play all these before PlayStation 5 comes out. You can hear more about that on Another Game podcast. Recording tomorrow after the Xbox event.
Check it out.
But yeah, this one is just like, okay, well, I'm not touching another game until I finish this. And like I just got to the second island. I'm in love with this game. It was made for me, and like I understand why no one else would say it is their favorite exclusive on the console, but it is my favorite exclusive on the console for sure.
That's awesome, dude. No, I can't wait to play it. Like I said, I've been waiting for a long time. I've been so busy this past week that I haven't been in the mood to play any games. But have you been playing anything else this week, or just Ghost of Tsushima?
I played Fortnite for like the first time, really.
Whoa,
That's unexpected.
Yeah, I turned 30 like a week and a half ago. And I was kind of just like day drunk in my apartment. My birthday was on a Saturday, so I'm like, oh, all right, like I'm just gonna crack open some beers, and like had my Xbox controller, and I was just too lazy to like get up and put like a disc in for like my PlayStation. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm playing an Xbox game. Just downloaded Fortnite, and man, that is a game. That is that is a game.
Yes, it is.
I really liked it. I don't know if I'm ever gonna go
really?
back to it. Yeah, I hinted at it earlier that like the thing I want to talk about today was battle passes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, like it took an hour, but like they got $10 out of me for the battle pass. Like I bought it, and
Oh wow,
I think what's really interesting about that game is like you don't have to win to progress in the battle pass. In fact, that it feels like when you're playing, only like 5 people really care about winning. Everyone else is just more interested in doing stuff in the environment, because like the battle pass progresses. It's awesome because it's like 100 levels, and like it's not like every level is the exact same. So it's not like, oh, level 1 to 2 is faster than level 2 to 3. Like every level is equal. So like you progress pretty easily, and there's like just all these challenges like within the map. And so like you'll land, and like yeah, you're going to like technically the game is to kill the other teams. I've only done squads. Technically the objective is to kill the other teams, but there's so much stuff on the battle pass that, like I'm just exploring this weird cartoon world.
Okay, so I was just about to ask that if the original mode is still in the game.
As far as I know, yeah. Like I've never played like the 1v100. I've only done squads.
Okay.
Just because I don't really know what I'm doing, so it feels nice just to go into a group and explore this world together. But like they've apparently added a whole bunch of stuff, and like there's like, you know, this fortress that's like guarded by a whole bunch of NPCs, and there's just high level loot, and like you'll get experience points for opening like 8 different chests in this one area, or like doing 6 different zip lines in this other area, and like that stuff is what levels you up way more than actually winning. So just exploring the world and like doing all this stuff. I just thought that was super interesting, that like even playing the game with the original intention of it is not the goal anymore. You know, like it is all about playing in this world. And like there's even a mode called Party Royale that like I played with my friend Fabio, and it was literally just an open world with like no guns, and like you could just go around and like get vehicles from certain areas, get launch pads, and just play. And like it felt really cool just like having a sandbox. And like I guess that's where like the Marshmello concert happened. That was where they showed like the Chris Nolan movies the other like a couple of weeks ago.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and so it's just like weird. Where like Fabio's theory was like this is slowly replacing Saturday morning cartoons for kids. And like I totally agree with that. Like it's just like a cool place to go spend time with friends.
That is really cool, though. I'm glad you had fun with it, because like normally you hear Fortnite just being trashed by like a ton of people, constantly, but you don't really hear people just being like, oh, you know, I tried Fortnite for the first time and I kind of liked it. It was decent. So, I haven't personally.
I think
played
they
it
front load. It's like the first couple matches you play, it's like you're going to win. So they totally like, you know, hook, line, and sinkered me. And then like as my progression has gone on, I'm still like relatively good at it. Like I've been placing like at least in the top half, if not like, you know, one of the like last 4 remaining teams or whatever. I don't know if like the most competitive players are still playing in squads, like if that's what the issue is. But they also just like mix it up. Like I played last Sunday, and like they just got rid of every gun that wasn't a sniper rifle, so it was like just snipers only.
Awesome.
And they just do stuff like that, just like mix it up, and I'm just like, oh, that's cool. Like
that's pretty cool.
And the fact that it's just so low barrier to entry. And like I bought the battle pass just because I'm like, well, I played this for 5 hours, like that feels worth $10, you know?
Yeah. Throw them a little bone.
And like within every like 10 levels, like you can basically earn back the money you spent on battle pass. So like if you fill out your battle pass by the end of the season, you can just pay for the new one. So like in theory, if I keep playing this, like I will have only spent $10 and I could just spend that single $10 purchase in perpetuity for the rest of my life playing Fortnite. I'm not going to.
That's pretty cool.
Going to do that, but I could.
That's exactly how Apex Legends does it. In fact, I am going to manage to hit level 100 on the battle pass. So when the next one comes out, I will through the money I earned in this battle pass, I can just buy the next one.
Oh, that's awesome.
So Yeah,
Elijah, do you know how like the cross play with Apex Legends? Are you gonna be able to sync your account to like your PS or your PS4 account or like PC
I
and like
don't
combine
know.
them, or how's that gonna work?
I
Do you
don't
know?
think that's been made exactly clear yet. Because I would love it if you could, because like it's so hard because I have a couple people I like playing with on PC, and I have a couple people I like playing with on PS4. So it's so hard for me to focus on one place to play. If you could like link them together, that would be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they've really given any information about it yet.
Right. Yeah. All right. Well, Elijah, what have you been playing this week?
There are 3 games I want to talk about. 2 of them are going to be very brief. One of them is I got a game called Pamela from the developer. It looked really cool, but the problem is, like, it looked all horror-y and spooky. It is a first-person, God, what is it? Roguelite? I don't know the difference.
Sure.
But
yeah.
I have no idea what the difference is. It's a roguish game. It's a first-person, like, horror game, but it doesn't really give you any information. So I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what any of this stuff does. I used this one thing. It's like, it adds so and so. So I used it and I'm like, nothing. It did nothing for me. I found this thing. Oh, it gives you 3. That's not a real word. And like, it's so hard. It doesn't tell you anything, and it doesn't make it easy to find out what anything means. So I'm just going through and I'm like, you got killed and lots of stuff. I'm like, all right, I'll go back and get it. And this last time I played, I don't know how I died. I was losing health, but I wasn't poisoned. I wasn't standing in anything. I didn't know what was going on. I was just losing health.
Do you think it's
died.
a glitch or?
I don't know. It's just, it could be, but with the way that game is, I'm like, this seems like it could be normal. I don't know. It's just very confusing. It wasn't bad, like gameplay wise. I couldn't get into it. There will be a video up by the time this goes live of me giving like some brief gameplay tidbits and essentially me starting a new character and such, but it's hard for me to really recommend right now.
All right.
The other 2 games I'm going to talk about, another brief one is Iron Man VR. I'm about 4 or 5 missions into it. The graphics in the Shanghai section need never be talked about ever. Wow.
Are they terrible? They're terrible?
The character and everything going on around were great. But the graphics of the city of Shanghai, oh my God.
Well, you haven't been there, so you don't know. It could actually look like that.
You're right. It could actually.
Yeah, he's got you there.
It could be super jagged with a lot of screen tearing. You don't know that.
He's got you.
I want to play that mission again and just record some footage just so people can see. Oh my God. But other than that, the game is great. And graphics other places are fantastic. Like when you're in Stark Tower, it's awesome. You can even go up to the workout area, and I shot some hoops and I did some pull-ups, and it actually worked my arms. I'm like, why is this hurting? And it was just like doing the motions with the move controllers. I'm like, okay. But essentially a mission construct where you go to a globe of the world and you choose the mission you're going to do next and such. There's side missions. It's just a fun game. There are problems. The load times are ridiculous. That is the worst part of this game. The load times are, I can sit there and watch like a music video in between certain load times. Like, this shouldn't be a thing.
It sounds like you've attempted this.
I've succeeded.
Yeah, your weird Euro trash dance beat stuff. Just
Look,
just gonna go catch up with 1996, see what's changed.
The Top by Ken Blast is an amazing song.
Right.
Anyhow, but the main game I want to talk about is one that is getting a lot of attention, which is Deadly Premonition 2. Yeah.
But I was going to cut you off because I actually had questions about Iron Man. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Okay, so you talked about it really favorably when the demo came out, and because of that,
Yeah.
I actually downloaded the demo, and I had a hard time playing the game. How are you playing it? Like, what's your physical stance when you're doing it? Because I tried sitting down on the couch, and I was having issues. and then I tried standing up, and I was having issues with the calibrating. Like literally, just the act of flying was such a pain in the ass. Trying to like put the move controllers like behind me to like fly in like a straight line. Like I still can't do that. And like I ended up buying the game just because I'm trying to support just weird one-off games like this. Like that seems really cool, but like I've been struggling as I've been trying to play just because I can't find like a comfortable way to play the game.
It took me a little bit. So I stand up as if like you're just standing there. Like imagine you're standing there, chest out as Iron Man.
Okay,
that's kind of how, not chest out because that would hurt to do for so long.
Yeah,
but
it's Iron Man, so it's called a unibeam. Actually,
sorry, yeah.
Unibeam
out. Which actually I just unlocked in the Shanghai mission.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah, it was actually kind of awesome. But yeah, I stand there like that. It took me a little bit to get used to how you fly and such.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, you know how in the demo they have the like that training mission.
Yeah.
Which the demo is legitimately like the first 2 missions of the game, the training mission, the first regular mission.
Yeah.
And I actually played that training mission a couple times in the demo to try and get my time down because my first time was like 2.5 minutes.
Yeah, same.
And then it comes up, camouflage record 37 seconds. I'm like, what?
Jesus. That's like
no,
not very Tony Stark of me. Yeah.
But I got down to the point where when I booted the main game up and got into that training session, it was like 1 minute and 25 seconds.
Okay.
So it's just a matter of, and again, just taking time to do it. Because like the Shanghai mission, for example, this is one that like a lot of stuff happens, so it's easy to go to, good and bad. There's a lot of movement you need to do. That's after you first unlock some of the different weapons and such. So you're really need to get used to, all right, moves this way for this weapon, this way for this, got to move out of the way. And that's where you really have to, you get into the flying motions or you die trying.
Gotcha. Okay.
And yeah, it was actually after that mission where I went back and did the training thing again and got that like minute 25.
Awesome. And final question. Sorry, I know you said you didn't really want to talk about this game to any extent, but how are the trophies looking in that game? Like, what's the platinum looking like?
I'm going to get that platinum.
Yeah, is it like so far, like just based on like the mechanics you've seen, you're just like, okay, this is doable, this is doable, this is doable. Okay.
The most challenging ones are going to be beat the game on essentially easy, normal, hard. Like I'm playing on normal right now, but I'll be able to do it on hard. I might die once or twice with that, and like one is just defeat or complete 5 missions with 5 stars. And I did like 2 of them on medium so far, and got like the rest have been 4 stars. So if I just go back and do them on easy,
sure. Okay.
But then there's like do all the side missions, get 250 kills with the main repulsor cannon, get 12 kills at one time using the unibeam.
So grindy, but not hard.
Yes.
Okay.
And not even like super grindy, I don't think. So it shouldn't be too hard.
Cool.
George, did you go for the platinum in Spider-Man?
I did, yeah.
Okay. So we had this conversation with Austin earlier. Do you remember that the crimes trophy where you had to complete like 5 of each type of crime? You remember that?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Okay. Me and Elijah both thought that it happened randomly and it was a real pain to get because they were random. And Austin said that they happen in order depending on what you needed. And I was wondering if that was patched in. Do you rember how that went for you?
I mean, in my experience, I thought it was random, and like I thought it was a pain, but then it felt like there was less of a weight. You know, like when you had like a bunch of missions that you need to do, and you're like, oh, well, I want to do this type of crime, and like you couldn't choose. But then it felt, I think that like as I sort of, cross those off the list, like it felt like it was still random, but like there was more of a likelihood that you'd get the ones you need. But like it definitely felt random when I played it.
Yeah, I thought so too. But I remember that being like a super pain. Because
I beat it before like the New Game Plus DLC and all that stuff came out. So like they might have tweaked it, but
I still need to go back and play New Game Plus. But that was the game. Spider-Man on PS4 was the game that I realized that like trophies aren't for me. Trophies are never going to be for me. And I just don't enjoy trophy hunting. It's just not my thing.
I wanted to go back and do New Game Plus, but like with Miles Morales coming out, I'm like, well, I mean, like I think I'd rather just play that game than
That's actually a
Play
good
the old
point.
game.
'Cause that's gonna be the base. From what I understand, it's gonna be the base Spider-Man game plus Miles Morales.
That's what I got.
Right?
That's what I got from my impression. Yeah.
Their marketing's been so hit or miss with that game.
See, I didn't get that. I got it was going to be just a standalone thing.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was standalone from the presentation, and then later, reading stuff. But for the presentation, I thought it was just like a first light.
From the presentation, it seemed standalone, and then a Sony PR. Note a Sony PR, not Sucker Punch,
Insomniac.
not Insomniac, but a Sony PR person came out and said all this stuff that was kind of like maybe it is just like an add-on expansion, and then Insomniac came out and like, no, it's a full standalone game.
God, I don't know. It's so weird, right? Like I guess we're gonna have to wait and see.
Get your house in order, Sony. Come on, guys.
In fact, they essentially said it's going to be just like and like a target length and such like Uncharted Lost Legacy.
It's a 7-hour game. That's perfect. That's exactly what I want.
Yes.
Do that. Do more of that.
Yeah, they said it's pretty much going to be Uncharted Lost Legacy / Infamous First Light.
Yeah, that was the name of an episode we had on another game podcast. Was are 35-hour long games 25 hours too long? And I think they are. I think they are.
Sometimes I would actually agree with you. Sometimes I would agree with you. The weird thing about Miles Morales though is because did you guys play all the DLC?
No,
not all of it.
Okay, so the last place we saw Miles Morales was in the game. Now they might skip ahead, but I don't know why they would. The last place we saw him, he didn't even know how to web swing. He was just he was asking Peter, because after the main game, in the DLC, you don't see Miles. I don't think you even see. Oh, I think you see Mary Jane in one cutscene. But he calls Peter up and he's like, "Hey, can we go over web swinging today?" And Peter's like, "Did you get your homework done?" I'm pretty sure that's how that conversation went. Because Peter's like a super nerd, So it was like a really funny conversation. But I'm pretty sure Miles was still super incompetent as a Spider-Man.
I want to say this takes place 6 months after the game.
Oh, okay.
Because it's all snowy in New York City in this one, and I want to say
really?
It was
did they release gameplay?
It's set during Christmas time, right?
Yeah, it's set during Christmas time.
Yeah. Love
that's
Christmas
so
games.
Cool.
Yes.
That's so
Sorry
cool.
for swearing, Austin. 32 minutes. I will make a note for you, but yes, I did.
They've come out and said more stuff about it. They haven't shown more, but in that initial trailer, you could see snow on the ground, and then they've come out and talked about it. That's when they said about how it's going to be a Lost Legacy kind of thing. And I think they said it takes place about 6 to 8 months or something like that afterward.
That's really cool. I didn't know that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I like that they're going with the winter, because that and that to be honest, that's way harder for them than just using the same environments, because now they're going to have to add snow to all this stuff and whatnot, because of course we know in New York City it gets pretty snowy.
Yep. So
that's actually really cool that they're doing that. I respect that.
There's going to be there has to be a thunder blizzard, right? Electro or Shocker, someone's going to show up. They have to do some cool stuff with clouds and lightning, and oh god, I'm so excited.
Yeah. And I don't want to spoil the end of Spider-Man for the people, but I'm hoping that what we saw at the very end of Spider-Man, that little teaser for the next game, gets set up more in Miles Morales. I'm very excited for that.
I think one of the things, and again, without spoiling anything, I think that the actual Spider-Man 2 could be, if not a co-op game, a choose your character game, whichever one you want to play as, or a you'll switch characters in the game.
I want it GTA 5 style, where I'd want it to be Miles, I want it to be Peter, and I want it to be Gwen, Spider-Gwen.
Do you think it's a little too late to introduce Spider-Gwen? Because didn't they already show Gwen Stacy as dead in the Spider-Man game?
Yeah, but I mean, this is parallel universe Gwen Stacy. It's different.
That's true.
That is true.
That's true.
But
if they were going to set up Gwen, I just kind of wish they would have done it, because Spider-Gwen's such a cool character.
That outfit is so good. And I know there's allegations against Jason Latour, one of the, I think the artist for the original Spider-Gwen series. But God, the style in that book was just so unparalleled.
Impressive.
When I wasn't buying comics, that was the only comic I was buying, because I'm just this so cool.
I actually have first appearance Spider-Gwen, and I'm holding on to it, because Spider-Gwen actually first appeared in a Hawkeye book.
Oh, really?
Hawkeye. Yeah. Her first mainstream appearance was in I think it was Edge of Spider-Verse.
Mhm.
That
Am
sounds
I right
right.
about that, George? And they
Actually,
had
that was from when I wasn't reading comics, so I don't know.
Okay.
That sounds right.
But if, yeah,
they had
right.
they had a whole bunch of like lead up books to Spider-Verse,
Yeah,
and Spider-Gwen was one of those books.
Yep.
But her first appearance was in like I think it was a Hawkeye book like a week before, and I have it because
Interesting.
I was so desperate for like comic book stories,
Well,
and I don't even like Hawkeye.
There's that, and then like there's some other Spider character that like first appeared in like a Captain Marvel book, and then like that quickly became like $120 book because no one was buying it. Like it was oh no, sorry, I misspoke. It was the first time she was referred to as Captain Marvel as opposed to Miss Marvel was in like some Spider-Man tie-in book, and so that was was technically like her first appearance. And so like that went from being like a book no one gave a shit about to being just like a $120 book, like $60 book, just like overnight, because that was technically her first appearance as Captain Marvel.
That's so cool.
Wow.
Imagine buying that and just being like, this is gonna be one of those trash books that it's gonna be worth 10 cents, you know.
Well, yeah, but it was like Ben Reilly or like the Avenging Spider-Man, like it was like the Kane clone from like the mid 90s, like it was like one of those Spider-Man books.
I love Kane, dude. I love Kane.
Sucks.
Like,
come on, man.
Come on, dude. He's got the coolest Spider-Man outfit.
No, Ben. I played the entire Spider-Man game with like Ben Reilly's outfit, like the
Ben Reilly's got a
like
cool
the
outfit.
hoodie one. God, that was so cool.
I don't want to get into like another giant because I know Austin doesn't like the giant long comic book rants. But did you read like the introduction to Scarlet Spider with Kane? Like, did you read Spider Island?
Oh, sorry. I'm purely judging him based on like the mid 90s, like during the Clone Saga, like that.
No,
like Spider-Man: The Hidden Years. Like that's what I'm basing my Kane sucks on.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I never read any Spider-Man between like 700 and 800, and then like I came back on with the Nick Spencer series. So like I've been collecting the trades like through eBay. Thank you, eBay, for letting me collect like Spider-Man Big Time and all that stuff that like I never read. And I haven't read any of Spider Island. Like
oh yeah, dude.
Spider
Island is where Kane. I'm trying to think how this goes. Kane is in Spider Island at the very end because he uses Peter's never seen Spider Stinger ability to defeat the one like enemy, and then he gets his own book Scarlet Spider, which was really cool because he was like a very much anti-hero. He was sort of like an angry Peter Parker.
Sure.
And he got that really cool red suit, and because that was originally Peter's suit that could like change color and stuff. I think it was his Big Time suit if I remember correctly. But yeah, man, Spider Island I think is Dan Slott's best work.
Cool. Well, I'm not super in love with his run, so I'm excited to see like what people consider a high mark. To bring this back though, so we talked about the Iron Man Platinum, then we went to the Spider-Man Platinum. I'm going to bring it back really quick before you get into the game you want to talk about. Elijah, did you get the Blood and Truth Platinum?
No, I want to.
Oh my god, that is my
I hear it's a fun platinum.
favorite platinum of the last like 2 years, probably. Like that one is
really
that one is so much fun.
Wow.
I love that game.
That's such an amazing game.
Yeah, it's
did not expect
so
that.
good.
The best way to explain that game is you play a Jason Statham movie.
Yeah, it feels like a Guy Ritchie like actual like gangster movie, but you're so bad. Like you're way more badass than anyone in any Guy Ritchie movie. So yeah, it is like a Jason Statham Guy Ritchie co-production. It's awesome. That game is great.
Well, now I feel like I gotta get that.
It's so good.
Do you have PSVR? Seth?
No, I don't.
Oh.
I have. Is it a PSVR exclusive? Because I have an Oculus.
It's a PSVR exclusive.
Yeah, it was made by.
It's made by PlayStation.
Yeah.
It do be like that sometimes.
Oh, God,
but
so good,
the main game I really wanted to talk about is Deadly Premonition 2, which has been talked about a lot because of its subpar frame rate, which is putting it very mildly.
Yeah.
Look, okay, so if I were to have tried to review this game, I would straight up say I can't. Because there is so much about this game I absolutely love. Like right now, it is in my Game of the Year list.
Oh, wow.
And
I'm sorry. I must have heard that wrong. What?
Yes. It is in my Game of the Year list because the content in this game is so amazing, but the game plays like trash. I put a video out on Twitter the other day of just me running and the frame rate, which I'm pretty sure stayed at like a steady 11, 12. That was docked.
Dude, it definitely dropped below that. It was like if you think about 1 second, it definitely dropped to like single digits at some point.
Oh yeah,
like it was really bad.
That's I'm sorry, Austin. 40 minutes 21 seconds. That's incredible. Like think about any other medium where it's just like, yeah, the movie content was great, but like the actual act of watching the movie was such a pain in the ass. Like.
Yes,
like,
and that's why.
Like, I only got half a DVD, so I can only see half the movie. Like any other art form, it's like the act of enjoying or consuming the art is like the easy part, and it's like the art that's questionable. But with video games, it's the one place where it's like, oh, the act of consuming it was such a pain in the ass, but the content was incredible. Like that's so unique to video games. That's amazing.
That's why, like I said, I could not accurately review this game because everything about the game itself is amazing and I absolutely love it so much, but playing it can be hard sometimes. In fact,
here's what I've thought.
Yes,
the original Deadly Premonition on paper is a terrible game.
Yes,
but it gained a cult following because it was so bad. Do you think, and that, like, this is me putting a tinfoil hat on, but I kind of also believe
I know where you're going,
that the frame rate issues they found and left on purpose because they were hoping it would generate the same sort of hype around the game as a cult classic that was terrible, but people loved it in general because it seems that way. There's no way this could have passed through their testing phase.
I don't think so, only because even with the last one being not great, it was still playable. And this one's
less playable.
This one is less playable.
Jesus.
And that's why, like, somebody said, wow, if I were you, I would get a refund on that. I'm like, I don't want to because the game is perfect otherwise. Like, it is.
Dude, I just don't.
That's what's so hard about it, because the game plays like trash, but everything about it, the characters, the writing, all the side stuff. So in the first game, one of the things that always annoyed me so much was the sound of the vehicle when you're driving it. Because just as you're average, just constant constantly. And this game starts out with him sitting there and the one guy going, so where's your car at? And he goes, well, I rented a hybrid, so it was silent. And I'm like, did they just acknowledge that? And then he goes, and I went and eat somewhere, and when I came out, the car was gone, and all that was in its place was a skateboard, so I'm just riding on a skateboard now. And I'm like, this guy rode from New Orleans to the town of Lucare on a skateboard, and that's how you get around town. But it's back to just, now you just like have a constant of riding the skateboard around town. So I'm like, they literally fixed the problem and gave it back. And I'm like, I hate and love it so much. But
I don't know, man. Like,
so much about this game is just off the walls. Like, to continue the skateboard, to get into the one area, you're like, oh no, my skateboard broke. So you go to get it fixed, and she's like, I can teach you a trick, and you can learn skateboard tricks to help you get around town. And like the one place, it's a diner and bowling alley. It's called Alexis Diner and Lane. You walk in, and there's one bowling lane there. And the one premonition you have tells you have to knock down the 10 white maidens bowling pins. And there's this old woman who bowls there all day, every day, because her and her husband used to do it. So you have to trick her into thinking some voodoo stuff is going down, and she can't go to the bowling alley that day. But she keeps acting like this real know-it-all the entire time.
Man, I don't know, dude. I feel like there's no... Like, I've watched a lot of videos on Deadly Premonition 2. I just feel like if they did release it knowing how bad it played, then like that's a major issue on their part. Like, the game's almost unplayable unless they did it on purpose. I can't see them not doing it on purpose because it's so widespread and like terrible. It's terrible.
I haven't seen any footage. Like, does it look much better than the PS3 game?
Yes.
Like graphics?
Or no. Graphics? No.
No? All right.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's the frame rate.
Yeah. The graphics a little bit, but it's not like it's not a lot.
Bayonetta 1 runs great on Switch. Like, if this was supposed to be like a true exclusive, like they could have paid the devs to like polish it up a little bit more. I think people just forgive it for the content. Like it sounds like that's like Elijah's stance, right? That like the game itself is so weird, and like it sounds even more like Twin Peaks than the original game did.
Yes. And that's what, like, other people, like, I've never seen Twin Peaks. I want to because of this series.
I never saw the new one, but, like, man, the original season is, like, one of the best single seasons of television I've ever seen just because it was so weird. And it's just, like, whose brain thinks in this kind of logical pattern? Like
I watched the first episode and I got bored. Is it worth going back to?
I think so. Like, granted, I had to watch that, at least the first episode, for, like, a class. Like, I was a film major in college. Like, I was a film English major.
Okay, that's cool.
And I took a class on David Lynch. And so I had to watch the first episode. And I was just, like, hooked in. Just because, like, it came out in, like, 1990, I think. So, like, it felt enough like an 80s product, but, like, still sort of, like, trying to set the tone for, like, the new decade, that it was kind of, like, oddly prescient in terms of just, like, I guess, like, filmic language of the 90s. So, like, I really like it. And so that's why I've always wanted to check out the series. But, like, yeah, the fact that it runs like Garba, like, that usually turns me off.
And that's why, like, it's one of those games I can't recommend because of how it plays. But if they fix the frame rate, I can't recommend it enough. Like, there's such a fine line there. Because, like I said, the content itself is amazing. But it runs.
You're talking about it the way people talk about Dark Souls, where it's just like, yeah, like, I love this game, but this game is really hard. So I can't say you're going to love this game. Like, it takes a very specific person to love this game. But for you, it literally is like, it takes a very specific person to love this game because the act of playing it is so intentionally terrible. Like, and again, think about like loving movie posters and just being like, oh man, like, the act of looking at this movie poster is hard to do. So I can't enjoy this movie poster. I like the content. I like the components, the composition. I like everything. But the actual physical act of looking at it, like having to like look at it through like a peephole or like a keyhole in your door. And that's the only way you can see the movie poster. And just like, yeah, it's a pain, but like, it's the only way to see this amazing content. Like, that is just unbelievable to me. Like, it is fascinating.
By the way, that is one of my favorite hobbies. Like, I'm so happy you brought that up because I've never talked about this ever before. But like
looking at movie posters through keyholes.
Well, no. Like,
wow,
when I'm like
sometime.
When I'm like waiting around at the movie theater, say like my friends are in the bathroom or like they're getting snacks or whatever for drinks, I'll like look at a movie poster and I'll just like like really examine the absurdity of most movie posters, especially like the Marvel ones are so bad, dude. Like,
yeah,
you can see like how bad like there's an explosion like photoshopped in the background or some like random cascading color in the background.
I'll send you my movie poster Pinterest board. It's great.
Oh my god, I'm so happy you have one.
Yeah, that was why I started the Pinterest, just because I kept seeing like really weird like fan made posters. I'm like, this one's cool. Like, I want to remember this, and then I discovered Pinterest. Like, that's
awesome.
But
no, how you're speaking of it actually reminds me a lot of Telltale Batman, because I really think, I know a lot of people would say it's Walking Dead. I really think Batman is the best thing Telltale ever put out, and it was really, really, really good, but it still ran like trash.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like so into the world and the characters and the story that they were playing, that was playing out, that I forgave how bad it was running.
Mm-hmm.
But there was certain times, dude, where I had to like turn off the game, turn off my console, and just walk away, because I remember specifically in the last episode of season 1, it crashed on me like 5 times in a row.
Yeah, you just stop playing out of spite.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I gotta walk away. Like, I'm so angry. I have to stop right now, or else it's gonna ruin the whole experience.
Well, because the last episode, that was like the big boss fight, like in the basement of Arkham, right?
Yeah,
and it was. You just had to move so fast, and like the game couldn't keep up. A, with the information it was presenting you, and B, with the information you were giving the game. So like, it was just such a cluster storm of of just like bad design choices. I never played season 2,
disappear.
But I'm sorry.
Characters would like disappear in that final fight, and
infuriating.
Yeah.
Batman was the fastest I've ever liked a Telltale game. Like I still lean towards Tales of the Borderlands as like my favorite just because it was so weird. But like it took me until like the last episode to think that. Whereas Batman, I started enjoying that probably like halfway through episode 2.
Yep. But I would recommend season 2, and I'm really glad that they're making season 3. They confirmed they're making season 3. If it ever comes to fruition, I'll be surprised. But I really hope they continue with that, man, because in my opinion, that is the best Batman property that's come out in the last since The Dark Knight. You know, like I really, really think Telltale was on something special with the Batman series, because just the way they set up like Batman and Catwoman, and they got the characters and they changed it up enough, sort of like Spider-Man. They changed it They changed it up enough to make it unique. And didn't know what was going to happen because I'm so fluent with Batman, like so comfortable with Batman that I'm always going to be like, all right, well, here's what's going to happen because I know this character. You know, that's how I feel reading current Batman comics. Why I'm so bored with them.
But
with
shut
Telltale,
up, man. The Tom King run is one of the best Batman runs the character's ever seen.
I don't disagree with you. Tom King's run is fantastic. I love Tom King's run. And I don't know if you listened to one of the current episodes. I think I was talking to Coach about the Mr. Freeze arc in the middle. I think it was like issue 51 to 55 of Tom King's run. You know what I'm talking about? The Mr. Freeze arc where he's standing on trial.
Yeah.
And it's like they did a recreation of that one famous movie. That's like a famous movie in any sociology class. I can't remember the name of the movie. I'm sorry. It's a racism movie. But it's a really, really and Tom King really got Batman, and he really got Batman and Catwoman. God, dude, you know what? Our comic book episode is gonna be so good.
Yeah, I'm excited.
It's gonna be so good because we're such lovers of comics. But like, yeah, Tom King's Batman is one of my favorite Batman runs of all time.
Oh yeah, I'm falling off with like the James Tynion stuff, like the I
haven't read it at all.
The Joker War with like Punchline. I don't really care.
I haven't read it at all.
I'm gonna keep buying it just because like I have every Batman issue going back to like 1998. So like I'm going to keep doing it. But besides that, I'm like, I don't care.
I'm really excited for Batman and Catwoman.
Sorry, Elijah. Oh, me too. Especially because like Phantasm is on the cover. Like hell yeah, I'm in.
Can't wait.
Sorry, Elijah.
That's okay.
But yeah, Seth, get a PSVR and get that Platinum and Blood and Truth.
Yeah,
I'll give it a shot.
And get a Switch. And don't get Deadly Premonition 2 yet.
I have a Switch.
Or do. I don't know how to answer that.
That game's gotta come to other consoles eventually, right? Like that. Like as much as I can see that coming to PlayStation, that feels like the perfect Game Pass game. Like, you know,
I mean, Bayonetta 2 never.
Well, it's
came
just
out,
like
though.
the way that like Xbox threw Nintendo a couple bones between like Cuphead and Ori. It's just like, hey, can we get some of that weird Japanese stuff on our console now, please? Maybe it'll run well on Xbox Series X, you know?
Dude,
I'll look into it and see. Because I know. So for things like Bayonetta 2 was funded by Nintendo.
Yeah.
I don't think Deadly Premonition 2 was.
I don't think it was either. Like,
but
I think it was just like I have to assume that'd be a timed exclusive. Like, I don't know why it wouldn't, because that game became hot on consoles because of PlayStation 3. Like,
yeah,
because that was like the director's cut, right? Like it was originally like a Steam game, and then it came to PlayStation 3 as the director's cut. It
was an Xbox 360 game, then came to PS3 as director's cut.
Okay,
which I really want to find the collector's edition of it somewhere. Yeah, it looks like there is a chance this could come to other consoles, which I hope so, because I platinumed the first one, I would platinum the second one.
Sure.
Huh, interesting.
But yeah.
Yeah, I get a massive bonus this week, so if I can find a PSVR, maybe I'll buy it.
I mean, no, I feel bad. Wait, because like they're gonna make another one. Like they're gonna make a better one. As much as I love PSVR, it is not the best. Like I think the games are great, but like the actual VR experience is not great. Like I went to a demo for VR units at CNET a couple years ago, and like the not Oculus, the Vive was like hands down the best one.
Oh, dude, Vive's so cool, but it's the price is such a barrier to entry.
Expensive.
Yeah.
And, like I'm playing Skyrim sometimes, like on VR. That's like my screw around game. Like when I can't sleep or like just can't decide what I want to play, I'll just because like I know the game so well. I'm like I'm just gonna play this on super easy because like I've platinumed the game on PS4. I've played 400 hours into it on 360. I know what's there. Like I'm just kind of like just trying to do like a new experience or whatever. but there's just like the actual fidelity is so bad. Like they have this thing that they call like screen door, where like you can like literally see like the space between the pixels.
Yep.
And it's just like really,
Wait, what?
really ugly.
I can't picture that in my mind.
Like imagine
Screen
you know how,
door.
like when you look through like a screen, like a window screen, and like you can see the world outside the screen, but you can still see like the black lines of the screen.
Oh wow!
It looks like that,
super
but it's like
weird.
a little more faint than like a physical screen.
Yeah.
And like you get used to it, and like you start to look past it. You know, like those images where there's like a picture hidden within a whole bunch of dots or something. Like you start to like look through the dots and just like see the world beyond, but like it's still there. You know.
That sounds extremely frustrating. So like I have a couple of funny VR stories. My first VR experience, I hated it. I think me and Elijah did it together. Is that right, Elijah?
No, it was you and Austin.
Me and Austin did it. It was when Oculus was first just making a name for itself when we were at PAX East. And actually, it might have been the same year that we met you guys at PAX East.
It was.
Yeah. Oculus had a booth there, and we waited forever to get in, and they had this horrible, dude, it's absolutely atrocious demo. I think it was called like Living Room Fight or something like that. It had a basic name.
Great name.
But you basically like sat down with the headset, and you were able to look around the living room, and you held a controller, and there was like a basic, super basic like fighting game. It was terrible. And I was like, I'm done with VR. Like, this is a gimmick. I'm never going to do this. And then I had like a research paper that I talked about in college, for my game design class that I talked about a few weeks on the podcast. And after that, I was kind of like, well, maybe I'll check it out because Resident Evil 7 VR was coming out and whatnot. So I ended up getting an Oculus Quest about a year ago. Oh, no, I missed a story in between that. Elijah came over to my house or my apartment in 2016.
Yes.
Right at the end of me and Tawny's relationship there.
Yep.
And I played Batman VR, and I was super, super impressed. But Arkham VR?
Arkham VR, yep.
Arkham VR. And someone, I think it was one of the guys, knocked on the door to come in, and there was a table in front of me in the game. And my mind was so tricked that I when I heard the knock on the door, that I brought the controllers up and I tried to set the controllers on the table, and I just dropped them on the floor.
Yeah, I remember that.
Because you could have sworn there was a table there. That's awesome.
Yeah, because I thought there was a table in front of me. My mind was completely tricked, and at that point, I was like, "Oh, okay, this is actually pretty cool. Like, I'm in." And then I got an Oculus Quest last year, and I had a lot of fun with it, man. There's not a whole lot of support for Quest, so I'm glad that cable, like a management system, is coming out so that you can turn it into like an S. But I love playing the Creed game, Creed Rise to Glory, the boxing game.
Oh, really?
Like I said, martial arts are like my favorite thing in the world, and it's like a pretty legit boxing game that you can just get in and trade hands with people whenever you want, and it's pretty cool. Like, I really love it. And of course, there's like the actual good games that most people would enjoy, like
Saber. And...
yeah, like Beat Saber. But
super hot.
Yeah.
I
Vader.
feel like we're gonna start moving on to news soon. But like, Elijah, really quick, your top 2 PlayStation VR games.
Oh God. It's going to be top 3. It's going to be the cheesy every answer, but Beat Saber, Box VR, and Super Hot VR.
Okay. See, I've never played any of those games, so that's really funny to me. For me, it would be number 1, Star Wars, like the Rogue One VR mission.
Yeah, the VR mission from Battlefront. That I was like, man, I would love if we got a full game like this. Fast forward to now, I can't wait until October.
Yeah, God, I think that's like the last new game I'm going to buy on this console generation. I'm very excited. But yeah, that's my number 1. Number 2 would probably be Tetris Effect. And like that game does nothing in VR, but it's just so relaxing to play it in VR.
Like immersive.
Yeah,
huh?
it's great. It's just like that with like, the fun like retro synthwave stuff playing in the background. It's just
some of that music is tight.
It's so good. I just listen to like the playlist every day, like when I shower on Spotify. It's so good. And number 3 is probably Blood and Truth. But like I think Skyrim is great on VR. Like I think it's awesome there.
So
do you have the patch that makes you able to actually like walk around?
Yes.
In it,
and so like, I have like the weird movement setup, but like you just get so much more freedom and like mobility.
Yeah.
But man,
like
really like it.
Seth mentioning about how like he got so immersed that he thought the table was there, and that the first time that really hit me with VR was in Skyrim VR. I was walking around with sword and shield out, and just walking, and I see a wolf out of the corner of my eye, and without hesitation, I just put my arm up as if to block it, and the wolf hits my shield, and I'm like, oh right.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's
Like,
super cool.
it was
stuff
like,
that happens in
yeah,
VR.
it was second thought, like, oh no, he's coming. I'm gonna block my face, and
Yeah.
that happened to be where my shield was. I'm like, oh,
I really
that's
truly
awesome.
can't wait for like the future of VR where we get like full body immersion. Not even quite like sort of online levels, but like just so I can have like a proper fighting game.
So,
You know what I'm saying?
there is this cool thing that it costs a lot to get the full setup, but if you get I can't remember what it's called, but it's a like treadmill, the something optical treadmill or something like that.
Oh yeah.
But if you get that and an Oculus, you can get a VR map of Middle Earth, and you can literally walk the path from the Shire to Mordor.
Yeah, that's
in
really
real
cool.
time.
And like I think that stuff's really cool, but like
It-
I'm talking like high fidelity cameras that can like track your movement.
Yeah.
I really just want a fighting game, man, where I can like kick and punch and grapple, and I think that kind of stuff is really going to push.
Oh, cool! A fighting
the
game I'm
console.
even worse at than fighting games right now.
Yeah, God, you just want the holodeck, man. Just say it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like the holodeck. But no, I mean, it's fine. Because like we're having a good conversation here, but Vader VR for Oculus Quest is probably the best VR experience.
Oh man, that comes
I've
out.
ever had.
That comes to PlayStation soon, right?
Yes, it does.
Oh, does it?
Yes,
I didn't
it
know.
does.
Yeah, that is
So
like
excited.
super good. My biggest problem with it, to be perfectly honest with you, and this is my only problem with it, is that you can only wield a lightsaber with one hand because of the limitations of the controllers.
Yeah, right.
So like
More like
in
because of the
game,
backstory of Darth Vader. You mean?
well, in game, well, no, 'cause you actually don't play as.
Yeah, you
Darth
don't play
Vader.
as him.
Oh, well, that,
You play as someone else.
that ruins
Yeah.
the game.
It does.
Spoilers,
until,
man.
it does until you're standing there and Vader comes and walks up right in front of you, and you're like, "Well, I'm in again."
That's good. That's kind of like I never want to read a series starring the Joker. Like I don't want to see inside the Joker set. I want to see like the lieutenants of Joker just like pee their pants around him. Like yeah.
But no, so like that was when I played Vader VR. That was the first time where I really understood like the presence and like the fear of Darth Vader, because like in the movies and the TV shows and even in Rogue One, like you're kind of like, wow, this is like this guy can like barely move. He's breathing heavy all the time. Like, I'm really not worried about it. But in the VR game, when he's right in front of you,
Now
like,
I get why everyone's afraid.
you get this presence of Darth Vader. And it's really powerful. But I want to wield a lightsaber with two hands because that's just the way I envision lightsabers, right? But with the Quest, and I'm assuming it's going to be like this PSVR as well, there's functionality built in the game to wield a lightsaber with two hands. If you hold your controllers together and press the buttons, and the character will actually grab it with both hands, but there's no way to actually connect to the controllers. So what you get is like a very flimsy, it doesn't work well, is what I'm saying. It doesn't work like you would imagine like a sword would work or like an actual lightsaber would work. So that was disappointing to me. And there was actually someone that kickstarted a project to create attachments to your Oculus controller that like magnetically clip together so you can do it better. That's how much people want this attachment, because you know, wielding a lightsaber is like a very specific experience. But the honestly the best part about the Vader VR game is the training missions, like the training room, because you'll go up against like these bots that like shoot lasers at you and whatnot. You compete for high scores and stuff. The story is also very fun and also canon, but the training mission is like probably the most fun with gameplay you're gonna have.
Hell yeah.
It's really exciting. They definitely pick it up.
Cool.
God, I cannot wait for that to come out on PS4.
All right, let's jump into some news. We got to move fast so Austin doesn't crucify me again.
Woo! News.
Elijah, tell us about this Xbox event, dude.
As of hearing this, the event will be over, but we are getting a big Xbox event tomorrow where they will unveil a lot of the first-party stuff. In the pre-show, they said is where we'll get some third-party announcements. But we are going to get a lot of the first-party stuff from some of the studios we haven't heard from, other ones we have. And I would like to ask you guys two things. One, what do you think without a doubt will be there? And one, what do you hope will be there?
Isn't this the same exact conversation we had last time George was on?
I don't
I'm pretty
remember.
sure it was.
I think that was
Wasn't
about
it?
Ubisoft stuff, wasn't it?
Okay. Because like I'm sticking to my answer. The only thing I need to see, the only thing I want to see is Fable. Just give me Fable 4 or like some sort of Fable game that's a prequel and doesn't take place in modern times. And I swear to God, I'll buy an Xbox. Don't push me. I swear to God, I'll buy one. That's all I want, dude.
I mean, you got a
George,
PC, right? Just play it on PC. You'll be fine.
True. That is
Well,
true.
I mean, like, it depends because some Game Pass stuff is like really weird. It's like the Master Chief Collection's like slowly releasing on PC. Every Xbox exclusive is supposed to come to PC, but it doesn't come to PC like day and date sometimes.
Gotcha.
So I'll definitely like I will play Fable day one no matter what. I'll drop so much money on Fable. Like, don't tempt me because I love Fable: The Lost Chapters almost as much as I love any video game ever.
Gotcha.
I have a feeling they're going to tempt you.
Dude, I hope so. God, I hope
so. I don't like Fable 2. That was like the first one I played. I thought Fable 2 was like fine. And like it was like a great time sink because like I think I grabbed that when I was like a sophomore in college. And so like I would just, I'm sorry, but I would just get stoned and just like go to the blacksmith thing and just make thousands and thousands of gold.
Yeah, Fable 2 and 3 suck.
Yeah, but I played Fable Anniversary for the first time maybe like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. That game's incredible. Like Fable, the first Fable is so good. And like I want something like that, like something that feels more whimsical. Like I don't really care about like I love the idea of like legacy that they introduced in Fable 2. Like the idea of like actually owning a house and like having some kind of like permanence in the world. But like the whimsical storytelling in Fable 1 was so much better and so much more interesting than anything I saw in Fable 2. Also, Fable 2 looks like butt. It's just so brown.
Did you play Fable 3 at all?
No, I saw like I remember like the video reviews for it. I'm just like this. It looks like they're just doing everything I dislike about Fable 2 and just making that the focus of the game.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they did. It's terrible, dude. But Fable, like, I don't understand how that happened with Fable because Fable was like the first Fable is such a good game, and I've beaten it several times. Like it's one of my favorite games of all time, and I just. When you look at like the progression from Fable to Fable 2 to Fable 3, they focus on all the wrong things. And that's the reason that series died, dude. If they would have just kept it simple and just been like, all right, we're going to keep it medieval fantasy world, like maybe move forward a little bit, not too much. But they took away all the RPG elements in that game. And it was really sad to see because there's so much lore and story to tell in Fable. And I really hope that this Fable 4 announcement blows my socks off.
KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
That's right, Michael.
That's
Scott.
right.
All right, so Fable, I hope to see Fable there, and I hope, like you said, like it's more in line with Fable 1. I can't remember, what was the most recent Forza game? Was it Motorsport or Horizon?
It was Horizon 4.
All right, because I really wanted Forza Horizon 5, but I think it's Motorsport's turn, which I think is awesome because that means it goes like head to head with like Gran Turismo from PlayStation, which is like just fun from the outside. I don't care about the console wars at all, but I love seeing people.
I don't care about the console wars. I just care about we're getting a good racing game.
Yeah. So like I assume we've got to see that. They've already announced that like they're going to show off campaign stuff from Halo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that. They released the box art today, and like everyone else on the internet, I'm like, oh, this feels very much like Combat Evolved. Box art.
It does.
So I'm excited for that. I'm really excited just because like I don't have to buy the Xbox Series X to play it. I'm going to Game Pass it, I think. Actually, no, it's a Halo game. Like I'll probably buy a physical copy of it just because I love Halo that much.
I was just so burnt by Halo 5, I can't put myself to buying another Halo until it's redeemed.
Yeah, man, we talked about that earlier. That was the first Halo game I didn't like get and beat the night I got it. And like it's funny because like I think that's like the best feeling Halo game, you know. Like I think
I completely agree.
The physical act of playing it's great, but it was just like, why you gotta do Cortana like that, man? What did she ever do? What did she ever do to you? 343? Come on.
Oh look, blue team is back. How? It doesn't matter who's blue team. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and like when you went to that like that elite city like on that coastal, like that was like awesome. Like there was so much good about that game. And like the first mission where you play as Master Chief, where you're on like the derelict ship, like there was a lot going for that game. Like I do think the parts are greater than the sum, but God, that story just like really pissed me off. And like, I wonder, like, are they going to retcon their own story? Like, how are they going to fix that? I'm really excited for that.
I like the supposed Mega Bloks leak of what happens to Locke.
Oh God, yeah.
Which is amazing.
That's awesome if that's true. If that really happens, that's awesome. Like if Mega Bloks leaks it. I'm not talking about the actual plot, but like the story of how like Mega Bloks leaks this plot. That's amazing.
That's incredible. Yeah, Fable was my big one. Honestly, like I want to see smaller games. Like I want dumb things like Halo, Spartan Assault. Like I'm not saying I want that game, but like there are all these huge studios, and like that's great, and like they're gonna make amazing AAA stuff. I have no doubt. Just like with the sheer talent at Xbox, like they're the Xbox One didn't have bad games; it just didn't have a lot of games. Like I think that was like that was my general problem with the Xbox.
True.
And then it wasn't until Xbox One X came out that like I had a reason to think about playing third-party games on an Xbox console. And like I didn't even get one, but I'm saying like until like that came out, I was just like, oh, okay, so third-party games will play better here for the first time this gen. But it was too late in the gen for me to really care about. But yeah, I want to see like more small games like Ori and Ori and the Will of the Wisp. You know, just stuff like that. Just because AAA games are getting more detailed, they're getting more expensive, they're getting more time consuming. And like just if you pad that out with just like, you know, like bring back Xbox Live Arcade, like Summer of Arcade style
Summer of
stuff.
Arcade,
like
so
I want that. And like the fact that it's like all coming to Game Pass, like if it's first party or like, you know, second party investments, like that is such a good excuse for Game Pass. It's just like, hey, every week for the month of June, like you're going to get 4 amazing quality smaller games. I assume we're going to see some xCloud stuff shown off just because they announced that like xCloud is coming to Game Pass for free, basically. And so that's just like streaming Xbox games to other devices that aren't native Xboxes. Like that's incredibly cool.
I have it on my phone.
Yeah, so I assume we're going to get that. They're starting to phase out Xbox Live individual subscriptions, and so I assume we're going to hear more about like their future for subscription software.
See, the one thing I don't know though is they've been very vocal that this is for games, so I don't know if we'll get any like service information here. That's the only reason I have hesitation on that.
Sure.
But again, we won't know until the big things I want to see, and I expect it, the new Forza, which actually you said, man, you want Forza Horizon 5. I'm sitting over here, man, I'm glad it's not Forza Horizon 5. I want a new motorsport.
Okay.
Just because it's been so long since we've had one.
Sure.
And 7
was a lot.
7 left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth because it essentially had loot boxes, but they never had it so you could buy them. You just got loot boxes in game that gave you like not even like mods, just like challenges that you could use. Like you would open a loot box and it might have like a new driver uniform, which you will never see anyhow. Or it would have like, here's a new challenge and you can activate up to 3 challenges at one time. Like get 5 perfect passes, win an extra 10% credits.
I don't want to dunk on developers because I truly think, I truly know that they're just way smarter than I'll ever be. Just the fact that they can like wrap their head around certain things that like just seem so foreign to me. But like that just from the outside seems really lazy. Like it's just like taking things that work in other games and not really thinking about how to apply that best to your game. You know, like it's just one of those things where it's just like, oh, I have a Band-Aid. It's like, well, I like, you know, like I lost my finger. It's just like, well, Band-Aids seem to work for things kind of like that. You know, like it's just like trying to like, just put like a round thing into a square hole. Like it's just
a lot of times it's like the lead designer or the production team or the monetization team that'll do stuff like that. You know, that make those decisions. Usually what you find with like developers and designers is like they're very passionate about their work, but a lot of these dumb decisions that we talk about all the time are a lot of times like a lead design job or, you know, like the upper management that are like, you guys got to figure out a way to do this.
Hey man, I've done work for game devs. Like I know that's the case, but it's also it's also just like, man, not like this, you know, like,
What I really hope to see is I hope we see more from Hellblade 2.
I never played the first one, so like I am excited.
Love the first one with a passion. It's actually a very special game to me, and I'm very excited to see where they take this next one, because at the end I'm like, when they announced the second one, I'm like, this looks awesome. How are they gonna do this? But then I doubt we'll see more of it, but they did announce that Project Mara. I'm very curious to see where that's going. One of the things I like about what Ninja Theory does is they do games based around like mental deficiencies, basically. So like Hellblade was around schizophrenia, and they do it in like a horror based scenario, which works very well because, and I've had people tell me this and read stuff about it, you know, when dealing with that, it feels like that a lot. So that helps with people who don't have those to understand a little more. And like that's one of the reasons I absolutely loved Hellblade. So I'm really, really excited to see more on what they're doing. And we're not going to see Perfect Dark Zero. Or not Zero, but Perfect Dark. I'm positive of that.
Well, George, why don't you wrap us up with your soapbox here on Game Passes?
All right, yeah,
or Battle Passes.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it a little earlier, and like I just think that like what's interesting to me about Fortnite's Battle Pass is that you're encouraged to do things besides like the main directive of the game. And we talked a little bit about loot boxes just now. I think Battle Passes are so much better than loot boxes in terms of like monetizing a game. And I know people complain about like, oh, you know, when I was a kid, you bought a game and you had the whole game. It's like, yeah, well, change. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, these games are such bigger investments, and like, not only are they bigger investments, like people are playing them for much longer after. And like, if the devs want to support this, like, I don't know, it costs money to keep the lights on. Like, I appreciate that. So I understand like why devs are trying to develop monetization, like after a game's release. But I was just looking at it, and like the thing that's annoying about Battle Passes is just like how time consuming they are.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not even that they want you to play their game, which they do, but they want you, it seems, to like exclusively play their game. And that's what's kind of frustrating. So like I was just doing like a quick tally on all the games that I play with like some kind of regularity that have Battle Passes. And so the 4 big ones that I still play that have Battle Passes are Magic the Gathering Arena, Battlefield 5, Fortnite, and Destiny 2. And so I could realistically get a complete Battle Pass in one of those games, but the fact that there's so many games coming out, there's no way I can do it for all the games I'm interested in. And I was looking into like the history of it, and apparently the first Battle Pass started with like Dota 2. Like that was like the first like major Battle Pass. And the idea was that like part of the price of the Battle Pass would go into like a prize pool for people at the international, like at the big Dota tournament. And so just knowing like the origin of Battle Passes and like how it was all about you getting like some sense of your money back, like that's kind of being emulated in certain games like Magic the Gathering Arena, where like you get crystals and gold and packs back for participating in events, and those events help you unlock stuff in your Battle Pass way faster, which gets you more gems and gold to help you unlock the next Battle Pass. And the closest I've ever come to completing a Battle Pass was Destiny 2. I grabbed the Vex season last December, I think, and I got up to like level 70 in the Battle Pass, and then like it was Christmas and I had to go see family, and I just like fell off pretty hard. But I think it is like a very, very good way to monetize your game, and like I have no problem throwing $10 a month, or sorry, not a month, $10 a season for, you know, 4 seasons a year or whatever to a game. But the problem is how time consuming that is. And like, that's like, it makes the games feel less like escapism and less like entertainment and more like like a part-time job almost. Yeah. And I guess I'm very curious about how you guys feel about Battle Passes.
No, like I actually agree for the most part, because part of me at first was like, you know, yes, but also I just kind of hop on for like an hour each night and play some Apex, and I'm going to reach level 100 of the Battle Pass easily, and I'll get all the money back, so I can basically buy the next Battle Pass for nothing, which is awesome. But then I also thought about once a week I'm not home. So for example, yesterday morning, I'm like, well, I'll have to hop on in the morning quick and try and get at least a couple games in and try and get 3 of my dailies quick. And I'm like, I have other stuff I could be doing, but I'm going to play Apex instead.
Yeah, me too. Like exercising or like, reading a book.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of the same way. The only battle pass I have any experience in is Apex, and I was just playing Apex for free, and you can like get the full Apex experience for completely free, which I think is really impressive with that game. But when I was playing it a lot with my buddies, I realized I kept getting battle pass levels, and one day I just randomly decided to check out, what I was gonna get, because it's a genius marketing strategy. They tell you, what all the rewards are for your battle pass level, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of stuff here that if I pay I think it's like 10 or 15 bucks.
Yep.
Yeah, $10. I'm gonna get all this because I'm already at level 45 or whatever it was.
That's genius what they do. Like,
yeah, I agree.
The fact that you can retroactively purchase it is so smart, but it's also
yep.
I feel bad spending time because I'm like, I don't have the battle pass, but then I spend so much time where I'm like, well, I might as well buy the battle pass. And then it's just, I think we talked about this the last time I was on, where it's just like, any time I spend doing something else is time I'm technically wasting money on this other thing. Every time I read a comic book on DC Universe, that's just money I'm wasting on Marvel Unlimited, And so it's just like trying to balance that to a point where you don't feel bad. It's just so hard when so many things are asking for your attention, your time, and your money these days.
Yeah.
And
I totally understand that.
Got to that point for me where I noticed, I'm like, all right, how many days do I have left? Okay, how many levels do I have left? Oh, I can do this. Okay. And that's when I started to calm down. I'm like, all right, now I'm not as worried about getting everything, getting my money's worth. And I was able to calm down more. But it wasn't until that point that I was able to calm down.
It very much reminds me of the WoW or pretty much any MMO grind, where a lot of times if you want something specific in an MMO, even if you're paying it, you're gonna grind and work for it for hours and hours and hours. And it might just be my personal opinion, but I actually prefer this system to the just straight up DLC system that we had for years, because it makes you feel like, even though there's a small barrier to entry with cost, you are working towards something. You're not just buying something and getting it. And I think it's more rewarding when you're actually working towards something. You're like, oh, I got 5 more levels until I get this skin or whatever it is that you're trying to get. It's a lot more rewarding. It makes you feel like you've earned something, and I like that quite a bit more. I'm not really worried about when I'm paying, because that was the thing with Apex, right? By the time I bought it, I'd already seen all these rewards that I'm going to get, and I'm like, well, I might as well buy it, because I'm going to get all this stuff for a super low price, including all the skins and whatnot that I unlocked. And it just made sense to buy it at the time, and then I can work towards stuff, future if I get there. I didn't buy the battle pass with the intention of ever reaching the max level. I don't think I'm going to do it, but it's the fact that oh, okay, well, for $10 I might as well buy it, and then I get all this stuff, and I'll get future stuff for free. But had they not shown me what I was going to get retroactively, George said, I would have never bought it. It's a genius marketing strategy. They really hit the nail on the head.
I actually just bought the battle pass 2 weeks ago, and it was after a while, because it kept coming up, if you buy the battle pass now, you get all this already. And that's when I'm like, I'm going to hit level 100. I might as well just get it, because it's all right, I'm getting all this stuff. I'm going to do it. I'll give it the money. That's where it finally hit for me.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Just something to think about, just because I do think it is the best monetization I've seen in my lifetime, because it adds another layer to the game. And even Game Pass does it to some extent, where you get achievements every day you play something from Game Pass. You get achievements every time you log into the mobile app. You get achievements every time you download something to your console from the mobile app. And it's you're not paying for anything outside of the subscription, but just the fact that they incentivize you to do things over and over again, and just
people
repeat
make
habits.
Fun of me for this, but I get the Microsoft reward points on Bing, and almost every month I get $5 off my phone card because of getting reward points just by doing random stuff.
Yeah. People can make fun of you, but $5 is $5.
Exactly.
I think this is a great monetization. My fear is that more games are going to do this. And that's what freaks me out, is that the only way to really progress
Yep.
is to spend 30 hours a week. Like, did you guys play the original Destiny that much?
No,
A
I
little
didn't play
bit.
it that much.
All right. So they had this system where you basically get bounties, and then they had like daily heroic stuff where like if you basically played like a mission from the campaign on hard, you'd get a certain amount of tokens that you could like use on your character, and then there were bounties that you could have a week to complete, and then bounties that you had a day to complete. And so like you can kind of see like the seeds of some quest lines, I guess, or like where you do have like weekly goals, daily goals, all that stuff, like in battle passes today. But like it felt more like, oh, I'm just going to play Destiny for 15 minutes and get my dailies done, and then my dailies will contribute towards my weeklies, and then my weeklies will,
Right.
cash in at the end of the week or whatever. And then like, oh, I'm close. Like I'll just push through on a Sunday and just get it done, like before the refresh on Tuesday, whatever. And like that's great, but like it was just so much faster than it feels like it was like even in Fortnite. And like there's no pressure for Fortnite, but like every 10 levels you unlock like a new character skin, and it's just like, oh fuck, well like here's one where like there's like a cat riding the front wheel of a motorcycle to power a mech. Like I kind of want that character, and it sounds pretty cool.
Right.
And so it's just like the amount of time that they're asking you to spend to do it is just like, this is cool, but it's only cool if 3 games do this. Every game can't do this. Otherwise, like I'm just going to have to drop games. Like it really becomes like inexclusive at that point, where like it feels like a couple years ago you could get away with playing The Division, you could get away with playing Destiny, you could get away with playing Black Ops 3, like as they were all out at the same time, and you could spend time in all of them progressively and inch along in all of them. But like just the way things are going now, where this seems to be like a completely more favorable version of making money. Like I'm so for this, but if everything does it, you have to commit at one point. And like, I'm wondering right now, like, okay, on PS5, am I going to stick with Destiny 2 as like my main time sink, or am I going to graduate to the Avengers? Like, because they're both like games of service games, and I assume that game's going to have a battle pass too. And it's like, well, I don't want to spend $20 a month for each game to not get the full amount of money. Otherwise, like I'm wasting money. And I don't know if you guys know this, there's a pandemic, and like I would rather not waste money right now if I didn't have to,
Yeah, true.
Exactly.
And so it's just like sort of like it really is like it feels like everything in Persona that stressed me out about Persona. Where like it's like, man, do I go to my job or do I hang out with my friends? But like it's just like in terms of like it's supposed to be completely stress free. It's supposed to be entertainment. It's supposed to be escapism. But like I'm sitting here having like mini panic attacks, being like, well, what like. Do I have to pick my major now? Like
yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And so that was just like something that's been on the back of my mind for the past like week or so, thinking about it, just being stressed out for no real reason.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I agree. Games are a copycat culture, and if every game goes that way, it's going to create problems. We're already kind of seeing those problems when it comes to like these games as a service. Whether it's Destiny 2 or Overwatch or Anthem, like all these games are coming out that require massive time commitments, and people just aren't going to jump to them if they already have something they're committed to. So I think that was a lot of Anthem's problem too. Also, there wasn't a lot of content in Anthem, but
there wasn't even a battle pass for Anthem, man.
Yeah, well, I'm saying like it's the same idea though, right? Like people are committed to these games, already dumping so much time into these games. They can't possibly play all these games as a service at the same time, and they're just dropping games. And if the game's not intriguing enough, at least in the first quarter or whatever, they're not going to stick to it.
Well, what's weird is like it feels like the early 2000s when there was like a whole bunch of like new sports just kind of like being introduced out of nowhere, and it's just like what sport is going to stick around, and so like the X Games came up in like the mid 90s, and like those have thankfully stuck around because I think they're pretty cool. But it's also just like finding out it's like, oh no, Wall Ball Extreme is coming out. Like I wonder if we'll still be talking about this 10 years from now. It's like, no, we're not.
All right, George. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it there. I know you got to get going here in a bit as well.
Yeah, I got a Destiny 2 raid. I got to go hit up.
Well, thank you for joining us. Thanks. It's always a pleasure having you on.
Yeah,
always.
Thanks, guys. It's fun.
Remember, you can find us on Twitter at FrameSkipPod. You can find us individually at Seth S. Taylor, at Austin J. Eller, and Elijah is at Local Lizardman. George, what's your Twitter tag again?
You can find me at PurpleBird616.
And also check out Shortbox Pod and Another Game Podcast, right?
Yeah, at Another Game Pod. Me and Fabio, we're excited, happy. Doing our little corner of the games industry. Got to have you guys on soon as we figure out how to do multiple people recording in multiple places.
Yeah.
And then, I think, Seth, you're going to come on soon for Shortbox Summary. We've been reading The Pulp.
Absolutely.
And we've been reading Secret War, the 2004 series.
I'm super excited for that.
I've been reading Daredevil and New X-Men to set the stage for all that stuff, but I'm pumped.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. I'm super excited for that.
Yeah, so look forward to that next week.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the show. Remember to leave us a good review if you did, and subscribe. And until next time, keep on gaming.